Welcome back, and we've created our first quiz. And before we start scoring it, I just wanted to show how to send this form to everybody else. And you'll see in the top right, there's a send form button, and there's also one at the bottom. Just click on this and it will show you the link to share. And I always go for a short URL, and you can press Control-C, and now you can copy this link, and that's the link that you send via email or put on Facebook, as I do with the juniors, or tweet if you want it to be public, the address of the form that people can fill in. As I said at the training, they don't need a Google account or anything. They can just go straight into this on their phone or tablet or computer and fill in the form. So now we want to look at doing a very simple scoring, and I'm going to view the two responses. There's my first response, which is hopefully got the correct answers in, and a second dummy response that will allow me to show you how to do the scoring. The first thing to do is to create a second sheet. As I said, I never touch this form responses one spreadsheet, which is where all the new responses will come in. So I'm going to add a sheet, and it's called sheet 4 in this one. This is because of some of the practice I've already done. And as I've shown, what we're going to do is copy all the responses into this sheet. And we do that by doing an array formula. And what I want to do is copy column A from the responses sheet. So I'm going to go to the responses sheet, click column A, and you see that puts that into my array formula, close the bracket, and then on my second sheet, I get the timestamp. So I'm now going to copy this field, and I'm going to paste it into those cells, and you see this pulls all of the questions across. What I'm going to want in my I column is the total score, and then I'm going to score each individual question, and we'll generate a score. And the way I'm going to score it is I'm going to check whether their answer is the same as the answer of mine. So typically in a spreadsheet, what you would do is, so for the Q1 score, which is question that's in column C, I'm going to say, this is for the second Poncho, if his answer, which is in C3, is equal to my answer, which is in C2, and I'm going to put $2 in front of the 2. I'll explain that in a second. Then if those two are the same, he'll score 10, and if they're different, he'll score 0. So we can see that for C, he hasn't got the answer right. My dog thinks there's 32 packs in a card. Yeah, 32 cards in a pack. Presumably after he's finished with them, that's probably true. So he scores 0 for that. The reason I put this $2 in the formula here is the dollar fixes that. And when we cut and paste this formula down, that 2 will stay the same. So I always compare with the first line. So the way spreadsheets work, I can copy this formula and then paste it into the next line, into the next column. And you'll see that it changes the C's to D's. And you can also do that by dragging it across. And you can see that Poncho did get the value of number of high card points in a pack correct. So he'll score 10 for that. And again, you'll see in the L column, it's comparing E with E $2. The problem, this is how you normally work with a spreadsheet, but the problem is this is a special type of spreadsheet because we're getting responses coming in all the time. And you can see that there's nothing in this column here for all the new responses. Now what we could do is drag this down, and where there aren't responses, or as responses come in, they'll be scored. These fields here will get filled automatically as responses come in, and the scores will update. And if you have a limited number of scores, doing this is absolutely fine and will work well. The problem with this is if you don't know how many responses you're going to get, it looks a little unsightly to have a spreadsheet with lots of zeros in it waiting for answers to come in. And that will be a problem when you publish the results. It'll just look untidy. So we use quite an advanced technique to get rid of this using the array formula. So basically we want to take this if statement here and move it up and make it an array formula. So I'm going to copy this. So you can't see me typing Control-C, but I have. And we're going to change this column and we'll say equals array formula. And it says if. Now when you want to refer to any element or the array element, we say C:(C). If it equals C:(2), then we score 10, otherwise we score 0. We get an error because I've already got values in here, so I'll delete those. And now you'll see that the array formula has gone all the way down the J column, comparing all the elements in the C column with the top C answer. So it's basically doing what we want, but it's not very nice. It's not very clean. We've got lots of zeros where we don't want them, and we've lost our heading. So what I'm going to do first of all is put another if inside this, and say if the row of our element equals 1, and we'll put our title in, Q1 score. Otherwise, we'll do the calculation. The problem here is I've missed out a bracket on my if statement, so I need a bracket on that, and I need to put another bracket there, and there you can see. And now it says if it's the first row, actually it's not C, is it? It should be J, because we're doing the J row. So if it's the first row, then we put in Q1 score. If it's not the first row, then we put in the score. You see we've still got all of these nasty zeros here. So what we should do is just check that there is an answer. And the way we can do this is use the length function, and we'll say if length of A:(A). So if the first element in our column A is valid and has some input in data in it, then we do the calculation. Otherwise, we'll put a blank in. And you can see I haven't quite got that formula right. If length, and it should be length of A:(A). Now you see the first element is the title. The second one scores my answer. My answer is correct. And the next one down scores 0 because Poncho got it incorrect. And when a new answer comes in, this will fill in automatically. So we've only actually got one formula for this column, and it's in the first element, which is quite cool. And what I'm going to do now is copy this and paste it into the next 5 columns so that it scores. And again, because I had already had something in there and I had something in there, and you see it's is actually scoring things correctly. It is scoring E and D, E, F, G, and H columns, but we've got the wrong header in there. So we'll change this to Q2 and this one to Q3, to Q4, Q5. This is mainly for aesthetics. It's not necessary, but it does make it easier if you use this score sheet again. Now for score, we're going to do a very similar thing. So I'm going to paste Q1 in here, change it to score. The function we want is, again, if the length of A colon A is valid, then what we actually want to do is sum all of the scores in the row. So the first one is J colon J plus K colon K plus L colon L plus M colon M plus N colon N plus O colon O. And it looks like I've got a bracket too much in there. Because previously I had an if statement, so I have to take that out. And you see I've got the score, it adds them up correctly, but I have too many. So my length thing, instead of saying 0, if the length, I should just have a blank. And there you have it. So we now have a scoring sheet. But this is perhaps not what we want to publish. What I want to publish is something slightly different, maybe a results sheet. So I'm going to create a results sheet. And on this, I'm going to put the answers. So Q1, the number of cards in a pack is 40. And we can repeat this for Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5, and Q6, and just put the right answers in. And then we want to publish scores. So again, we go back to our array formula. And first of all, we're going to put up the timestamp. So we'll take that from sheet 4 and we'll make it this column. And if I drag this across, we can put someone's name, and we can make that slightly more legible. And then we want to publish their score. So this isn't column C. The score is actually in column I. So if we go back to sheet 5, and if I change this to I colon I, then we'll see the score for everyone comes up. Now, I want to publish this score and show it to everybody when it's finished. So let me just make column A so you can see the timestamp. File, publish to the web. And I just want to publish sheet 5, and I'll publish it. And I'll confirm I want to publish it. And it gives me a URL. So I can copy this URL. And if I go back to my first quiz, the form where we created it, what we can do is here you can see your score at, and we'll just paste the URL in there. You might want to use a URL shortener to make this easier. The other thing we might want to do is to publish, say, a pie chart that I showed you. So if I get the summary of responses up, then I can choose to publish these analytics, and what it actually does is it checks the bottom of the form here. So this will show a link to people when they finish the form. So now we're all done, and all we need to do now is just pretend we're another person doing the form. So what is your name and the beer card? How many cards in the pack? Well, I know there are 52, and 52 is only divisible by 13, I think. So with 4 players, that makes it right. I'll get this slightly wrong. Expect to hold 10, and I can't count because I'm a mathematician, but I do know this is a good hand because it's better than average, and I'll submit that. And you see I get 2 links now. So if I open one of these links in a new window, actually I should open it here because otherwise it will get lost. So we'll open it, and there you've got our response. So you can see where my answers are, and the fact that the scores now have my name that I've just put in. And you can see previous responses, which shows us all the responses and gives us a pie chart of what people have said. And that's it. I hope that proves enough to get you started.